Chapter 8. Smart's head swiveled left and right as she tried to find the spit bucket. She would have got up off the stool and looked, but was afraid her legs wouldn't hold. The second-hand headgear that squashed her cheeks didn't help her nausea. Stale sweat and ancient blood climbed inside her nose and smelt like loss. It reminded her of the fairground, worn leather scrubbed pale by frightened arse cracks, the heady scent of red diesel generators and being 13. "You ready?" Walker leaned on the ropes above her. Normally, she found her brother to be just that, her brother, but right now he looked scarier than any trip on the waltzers. Her eyes were drawn to his hands, big and rough and battered, a damaged knuckle gnarling up the middle finger on his left, a reminder that it even hurt to give out punishment. His face was dotted with white scars, years old but suddenly raw-looking, each a reminder of failure and pain. Her mind shot back. Air bubbles in open flesh, blood dribbling down his cheek, the hand towel from home gone pink, and the doctor's frown as he punched a needle through a flap of skin that stood out from his face like, "Where's the bucket?" "Here." Walker lifted it into the ring. "You all right?" Smart's blue chunks. They slapped against the plastic bottom of the bucket like eels. "Open." Walker fed her stale water, and she swirled it round her mouth, clearing out any leftovers. He rubbed her face roughly with a towel, then Smarts checked her opponent hadn't seen. No danger of that. She-Hulk was busy throwing good-looking punches into her trainer's palms. "We can cancel if you want, it's no big deal." "No." Pulling out now would be worse than covering the canvas with last night's pasta. There was the utter shame, of course, of retiring on your stool before a punch had been thrown, but it was more than that. She'd been training for the past 6 months, half a year of lung-busting sunrises spent skipping rope and hitting bag, for this, to rid herself of the nights spent helpless as her frigid mind played the same scenes over and over again. "Seriously, Smarts, it's no bother." Hitting pads was one thing. She was the best pad hitter in the gym. 12-string combinations mixed in with blocks and ducks had become second nature to her. But another person? Smarts dry-retched. There was nothing left in the tank. She dare not say this to Walker, but getting hurt wasn't the issue. That part didn't bother her. She had grown up that way. The part that worried her was hitting another human. What they'd think of her. Whether her punch was too hard or too soft. And there was something else. Smarts was frightened that once she started punching, she wouldn't be able to stop. When she got scared, she sang. It had started when she was a child. Head under the covers, skinny body rolled into a ball, word-perfect verses croaked into knees. So far, so Enid Blyton. But it had stayed with her, become a thing, a compulsion. And sometimes, no matter how hard she tried, no matter how tight she ground down on her molars, sometimes the songs leaked out. And they were always the same fucking songs. Perhaps it would be okay if there was something cool like Tori Amos or AC/DC B-sides, but they weren't. They were childish, from another time, dipped in Technicolor and rolled in late August bank holidays. Spoonful of sugar, consider yourself, bare necessities, Julie Andrews in a field with goats. Currently, she had Chitty Chitty Bang Bang on repeat, Dick Van Dyke crashing round her skull and threatening to spurt from her mouth like stomach-warm spaghetti. "I'm fine. Let's get on with it." Walker put a paw on her shoulder. "Good. Now, concentrate on your business." With that, Walker squeezed her delt and ducked back under the ropes. Chitty fucking Bang Bang? Is that it? "Is that what?" Walker stopped halfway down the steps. The child catcher was suddenly on the ring apron. "Aren't you going to, I don't know, give me some advice or something?" Walker looked down at his little sister. The fear was on her lips and between her eyes. It had been part of Smart's life since she was 8. And Walker knew it didn't matter what he said, what Rocky film he quoted. Once the fight started and the fists flew, something else takes over. Fear be fucked. Walker leaned back inside the ring towards his sister. Smart's eyes lit up. Was this it? Was her brother going to finally impart the key, the secret, break the code of the magic circle and give her unparalleled boxing power? Where's your gum shield? Walker found it resting next to the ring post. He picked a bit of fluff from the moulding, then shoved it into her mouth. Try and punch her more than she punches you. And with that, Walker stepped down from the apron and took a seat at ringside. Cheers, brother, you fucking... Good to go! The trainer from the opposite corner called across. Both him and Smart's opponent were on their feet. Smarts gave the woman another gut-churning appraisal. She was heavy-set, thick arms and round shoulders, with a long, tight, jet-black weave that rose from the top of her headgear and snaked down her back. She banged her gloves together, and the noise echoed round the empty gym as she hopped from foot to foot, her hair swaying behind her like a noose. She was light on her toes considering her bulk. The trainer said something and she laughed, showing off a gum shield with a skull in the centre. Smarts looked at Walker. He was leaning back in his chair, arms crossed, face blank. She shot daggers at him. Her head felt smothered by the protective gear. Its padding pushed her cheeks inward and forced her lips into a pout. She sucked in air with a whistle, then nodded. Pretty chitty bang bang, we love you. Smarts, ain't it? Somehow she had dragged her jelly legs to the centre of the ring. Right then, Smarts. The trainer leaned on her name like it was a banister. Your first sparring session. Take it nice and steady. I'm sure Walker has given you lots of little tips and tricks, but let me give you some advice. You're going to get tired very quickly, so don't get carried away and start throwing thousands of punches. Just jab. You don't need to throw anything big, no hooks, no haymakers. Now, Kirsty here has sparred before, so she knows what she's doing, and I've asked her to go easy on you. Now, normally I'd rather you went in against another novice, but there aren't any, and Walker says you can handle it. He paused and looked over at Walker. Will you jump in if you think it's too much for her, mate? The brother said nothing. Smarts bit down hard on her gum shield. Bang bang chitty chitty bang bang. The song had slipped out without her realising. The trainer looked at her. Her opponent smiled wide. You right, love? Smarts nodded dumbly. Okay. Touch gloves, ladies.